Hi, welcome to Glow. I'm Mary Taylor, and I'm excited to be working on this program with you, which is a program that will develop over the course of several classes a sustainable practice that will help with strength, flexibility, and most importantly, it will help with a sense of bringing calm into the practice. It's a contemplative form that builds on moving with the breath, the gaze, and dropping into what is arising in the present moment, what we feel as we practice. So let's get started. What we want to do first is to find our footing. So come onto your mat and have the feet a little bit apart so that you feel like you can really ground down into the earth. The sense of the bones of the feet dropping down as the muscles of the feet tone. And you can sort of imagine that you have what we might call a plumb line from the feet all the way up through the core of the body, up through the crown of the head. And then allow the gaze to be steady, either looking down at a point on the floor in front of you a little bit or looking ahead at a point out in front. But let the eyes get steady, almost as if you're looking at something from behind your eyes. And then we begin the sound of what is called the ujjayi breath, or a very gentle aspirate sound that we make by closing the back of the throat. So the sound is almost as if you're whispering the word ah with the lips closed. So let's try that. So we would whisper ah, and we whisper it as we breathe in as well. So it's and the breath starts to calm the body slightly. But then instead of leaving the lips open, try it with the lips closed. So feeling the breath from the tips of the toes through the core of the body, all the way up through the core of the heart, out through the crown of the head and back around. So we cultivate that sound of the breath throughout the practice, and if you get lost at any point, just come back to the breath. The gaze, and then the breath, and then we add movement. So to move for this first thing, we're going to inhale, draw the arms up, about 2/3 of the way up, spin the arms, and reach up towards the sky, and gaze up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, the arms float down as the heart floats up. We'll try that a couple of times. It's the first form of the sun salutation. Feet can be together or slightly apart. We'll try it apart here. Inhaling, spinning the arms. We reach way up and make sure the hands are in front of the head, not crunching the head, but way out in front. And the legs are toned, and then exhale, the arms come down. 2 more times. Inhale, first position of sun salutation called ekam, inhaling. And then exhale. 1 more time. Feet together if it feels good, inhaling. And then soften the jaw and the palate and the tongue. Good. And then take the feet a little bit apart, bend the knees and place the elbows on the knees and allow the legs to be folded so that it feels fairly comfortable to you, reaching down through the inner edges of the feet. Take the elbows onto the thighs and push slightly so that you get the feeling that the back is straightening. So the core of the heart is coming through the gate of the arms here, and the back is straight and the legs are strong. Exhale, push on the legs, come up to standing. Let's try it again. Take a big inhale, and then as you exhale, bend the knees, elbows to knees. And then this time, at the end of the exhale, look down. Inhale, lift the head. Notice that the back stays straight. And then exhale again. Here we curl the head down. Take the hands to the thighs. Inhale, come up. And then maybe just add the arms back into the pose, inhaling. And then exhale, back to standing. So what we're doing is building a sun salutation. Let's try that again. So we take a big inhale here, draw the arms up, reaching, hands in front of head. And then as we exhale, look up a little bit to keep the spine straight, elbows to knees. Exhale, curl the head down. Inhale, head lifts, heart floats, hands to thighs. Inhale again, all the way back up. And then, Good. We'll try it again. Inhale, first position of sun salutation, spinning the arms, reaching up. Hands can come together or not. And then exhale, knees bend. Look down at the toes. Inhale, head lifts. And then look down again. Hands back to thighs. And then inhale, spin and come all the way up to standing. And then It's like swimming. So the arms float down and the heart floats up. We'll try that one more time, but this time, if you like, you can try to keep the back straight, but let the knees stay relatively straight. The feet can be apart or they can be together, whatever feels most stable. And you get just to a certain point and then you realize, well, that's far enough to me. And then you curl the head and do the same. Or if you're very flexible, maybe you can curl a lot more, or maybe you bend the knees. And we'll try that pattern one more time. So feet apart, we take a big inhale. Reach the arms way up overhead, heels are heavy. And then as you dive forward, the back stays straight. Get to just the right point for you. Maybe the knees bend a little, maybe they bend a lot. And then you curl the head down, hands to shins or a little lower, and then come all the way back up, inhaling, and then exhale, fold. And then all the way back up one more time. Good. And then exhale. Back home. And then let's lie down on the belly. So you just place the elbows approximately underneath the shoulders or a little bit in front with the legs stretched out and back. And as you inhale, pull with the arms. And instead of letting the shoulders come up or pulling like so, pull with the arms. So there's a feeling almost as if you're trying to pull your body through the gate of the arms. So there's an isometric feeling of pulling back and pushing out through the elbows. If it doesn't feel good, maybe scoot the body back a little or let the belly come down lower and see if that happens to feel just a little bit better. Good. So we want to get the elbows in the right place. Big inhale here. The back of the body is broad. And then exhale, elbows out to the side, hands back to where the elbows were. And then, come part way up. Not all the way up, but just part way up. And then back down. Good. Let's try one more time. Inhaling. Pulling with the arms. Exhale. Release back down. Hands back to where elbows were. Shrug the shoulders. Now inhale. partway up, leaving legs and pubic bone on mat. Maybe you tilt the head back a little bit, and then, come back down and pause. And then let's come on to all fours. So we want to check to make sure that the toes are turned under, the thighs are perpendicular to the mat, and the hands are approximately under the shoulders. And rather than letting the ribs sink down or puff up, we make it so that the spine is relatively straight. And then we walk the hands slowly out in front, and then allow the forehead to come down and rest on the floor. If the forehead doesn't come down to the floor, that's okay. You can let the head just hang. But if it reaches the floor, great. Walk the arms way forward. And notice that I'm coming up onto my fingertips so that I can move the shoulders, so that I can create a sense of cupping my armpits away from the mat. And the buttocks is nice and bright and reaching back in space. The groins are deep, and I breathe. So this is a modified version of the downward dog pose that we like to call the puppy pose. And then take the hands back here, sit back on your feet, push up onto your feet, and then we can walk back to the center or the front of the mat. So what we're doing is building the sun salutation. So we'll try one of those as if we were doing a full sun salutation. So come near the front of your mat, take a big inhale, reach the arms up overhead, gazing down the nose towards the thumbs. At the peak of the inhale, reach a little higher. And for this first one, let's bend the knees, curl the head down, exhaling, and then inhale, lift the head, spine stays straight. Exhale, step back, come down onto the belly, and exhale. Inhale, climb up onto the elbows, rolling the shoulders back and down. Big inhale here, and then exhale. Elbows out to the side, and then the Sphinx pose, and turns into the Cobra pose, where we come a little higher, shoulders still dropping down away from the ears, and then flip the toes under. And as you exhale, come onto the knees, and then partway onto the knees, let the head come down and breathe. The arms are reaching forward, but the shoulders are broad. The breath is strong. And there's the ability to drop into the feelings and sensations all along the central channel of the body. And we just drop in and see what we feel, see what we notice, make tiny adjustments so it feels really, really good. Big inhale here, and then as you exhale, sit back, come onto your feet, walk back to the front of the mat, and drop in. So we'll try one more time. Take a big inhale here, draw the arms up. And this time, if you want to bend the knees, and great. If you want to leave the knees a little straighter, that's okay. The hands can come to the shins or the floor. As you exhale, you curl and then lift the head, and the heart stays bright. And then placing hands as you exhale, step back, and then put the knees down as you lower onto your belly, and exhale. And then climb up onto the elbows one more time. Shrug the shoulders. Pull with the arms. Gaze down the nose as you tilt the head slightly back. Inhaling. And then exhale. Come back down. Hands back to where the elbows were. Again, shrug the shoulders. This time inhaling. Pubic bone stays on the mat. The legs are wide awake. Big inhale here. Tilt the head back, but gaze down the nose. And then exhale. Come on to the knees, keeping the thighs nice and straight. Let the head hang. Shoulder blades are broad on the back. Collarbones spinning out to the sides. The toes are turned under. And then we drop back into the sound of our own breath, that wonderful ujjayi breath that allows the nervous system to soften and deepen, and the mind begins to dissolve. Couple more rounds. And then exhale, sit back, take your time. Inhale, stand up, walk forward. Last one. Inhale, broad back, heavy, heavy heels, reach way up to the sky. And then exhale, knees bent or straightening, whatever feels right to you. End of exhale, curl the head down. Inhale, kneecaps lift, the legs are strong, come part way up. And then exhaling, place the hands back, step back, lower down onto the belly. And this time, either Sphinx or Cobra. Inhale, come part way up, and let's hold that for about 3 breaths to broaden the back of the body, dropping the shoulders away from the ears. Legs are straightening, feet are wide awake. And at the top of the inhale, tilt the head back, but gently gaze down the nose. And then, exhale, head down, toes turn under. Big inhale, then as you exhale, push back. Come on to all fours for the puppy pose. And we just breathe and let the sound of the breath capture the mind. So there's the sensation of breath entering and exiting through the nostrils. The tongue is soft and the palate is released. And over a course of 5 or so breaths, the mind starts to soften into the sound of the breath. And then at the end of the next exhale, sit back, stand up, and then again, come back to the front of the mat. And this time we'll sit down. And we're going to allow the body to soften after this beginning sun salutation. So we're going to drop down and lie on our backs. So by keeping the elbows down by your side, drop the body down, upper body down, and then slowly lie back, and take the heels up towards the buttocks so that if you can reach the ankles. If the ankles are not within reach, that's okay. But imagine that your feet are parallel. Place the hands on the thighs for just a moment. And as you take a big inhale, notice the sense of expansion in the core of the heart. And then as the breath turns around and you exhale, notice the feeling of really getting grounded in the body, in the feet, grounded to earth. So hands on thighs, take a big inhale. Feel the sense of the core of the heart expanding. And then at the peak of the inhale, there's a gap. And then the breath naturally goes out. And at the end of the exhale, there's another gap. So this is the natural pattern of the breath. The inhale, the gap, the exhale, the gap. So place the hands on the low belly, just like so. Feel into the soles of your feet, the sense of the feet dropping into earth. And notice the back of the body, the sacrum, the back of the buttocks area as it rests on the floor. And then there's probably a tiny curve in the low back. Just allow your awareness to come into that sense of a curve in the low back. And then notice as you move your awareness up the back of your body to the shoulder area, that there's a feeling of the shoulders resting, dropping down to earth. And just see what you feel there. And if you wish to close the eyes as you are feeling this, that's good. Or if it's more comfortable to leave the eyes open, that's fine too. So the feet, the sacrum, the back of the body above the waist, the back of the head, they're being supported by the floor, sinking down, dropping in. And then notice the sensation of the hands on the belly. And as you breathe in, just notice that there's a little sense of the hands rising. And at the peak of the inhale, there's a gap. And then the hands sink back down. You can take the feet a little wider apart and let the knees fall together if that feels more comfortable. And let's just track the pattern of breath for a few rounds of breath. As we inhale, the core of the heart floats. The hands rise automatically on the belly. At the very top of the inhale, there's a natural gap. And then the breath, like a wave, turns back around. The hands drop down slightly. And the breath exits the body, keeping that sound of the ujjayi breath, that very aspirate, gentle sound. The inhale, the natural gap, the exhale, natural gap. Keep it really, really simple. Good. Inhale, gap. Exhale, gap. Over and over. The background of sound, the background of the breath. Nice. And then take the hands away from the belly, off along the sides of the body. Turn the toes out to the side slightly and reach out through the arms and see what feels more comfortable. Does it feel better to have the palms down, or is it nicer to have the palms facing up? Whatever feels nicer to you, but let the head be straight, looking right up at the ceiling. Toes pointing out to the side. Take a big inhale. And then as you exhale, allow the knees to begin to drop over to the right side. And as the knees come down 2/3 of the way, pause, and then push through the heel or the inner edge of the left foot into the mat to imagine that the left femur is getting longer and reaching away from your shoulder on the left side. And as you do that, exhale and look over your left shoulder. And then inhale, back to center. And then, exhale to the other side. Pushing down through the inner edge of the right foot this time. The leg doesn't come all the way to the floor, but it's reaching forward and away from the right shoulder, and gaze over your right shoulder. And then inhale back to center. This is called the windshield wiper pose. And it's a wonderful way of just integrating all of the practices. So we exhale, knees drop over to the right, push through the left foot, gaze over the left shoulder, and then inhale back to center. Exhale, knees drop to the left side, gaze over your right shoulder, and then inhale back to center. And then take the upper shins with the hands, draw the knees out really wide, and you can rock from side to side, drawing the knees in towards the armpits, but imagine that the sacrum is staying on the floor. So there's a little bit of the lumbar curve still in the back. And then exhale, draw the knees together and squeeze the knees into the belly. And then inhaling, place the feet down. Another round of breath, and then straighten the legs out along the floor. And hold the feet together for just a moment, palms down. And then flip the palms of the hands up and let the feet fall open to the sides. Wiggle around however you need to go into the corpse pose. So we drop in. The eyes can be closed if that's comfortable. The back of the body spreads out on the floor. The back of the head spreads. The breath is released. So the sound of the breath is smooth and even, but very, very internal. Keeping the tongue soft, keeping the palate released. The ears are open. Listening to distant sounds, nearby sounds, letting go. Letting everything be just as it is. And then Bring movement back, wiggling the fingers and toes, hands and feet. And then draw the knees up on an inhale. Reach the right arm up overhead and roll onto your side for just a breath or two. Letting the breath be the guide. And then let the left arm come down towards the floor, roll a little more onto your right, and slowly sit up and drop in. Dropping again into the plumb line, crown of head, all the way down through the base of the posture. Thank you so much.